What is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? I wanted to jump in and make a video so you guys would have this going into today. This video is going to drop on patch day. We're about to see a pretty, my camera's a little messed up. We're about to see a pretty crazy meta shift in Smite. We're going into the mid-season patch. It's 10.6. They're dropping it a little bit late, I guess. And they clearly wanted to shake things up, but they've shifted the meta so drastically away from where we were that you have to be prepared for today, and you have to have this information or you're going to be in shock. It's actually that significant. They've completely stopped comeback mechanics. Not completely, but for the most part, stopped comeback mechanics and flipped it to where snowball is 10 times what it used to be this year. And then outside of that, they've shifted away from a burst meta where mages could destroy, hunters could destroy, full damage assassins could destroy, killed them, and made it into a hybrid slash tank, a tank meta slash hybrid meta. When I say tank meta, I mean solos and supports are nuts. And when I say hybrid, I mean jungle hybrid, mage hybrid in the mid lane is nuts. So I wanted to jump in, show you guys the builds that you'll probably be looking at tomorrow, some builds for you to try to go out and hopefully have success on day one of this patch. I'm not the biggest fan of this patch, but I'm still going to play it and I'm still going to try to have fun. I'm on Circuit just because gods, hybrid gods. So gods that do well with hybrid builds are going to be meta, but on top of that, gods that usually aren't good with hybrid builds are going to be even better. Pele with a hybrid build, nuts, is going to be nuts. These are the ones that shouldn't even work. Thor with a hybrid build is going to be very, very strong. I think Tsukiyomi is going to be very, very strong. I've seen Pele and Thor. I played Pele on PTS. I've played against the Thor in the jungle with hybrid. Rad is going to be insanely strong. Circuit is going to be insanely strong. Raven is going to be insanely strong on top of his shield buff. He gets a 28% shield buff from his passive now. It's crazy. Fenrir is going to be very good. Running a couple of warriors in the jungle like Achilles is going to be very good. I honestly think even running like a tank Ao Kuang is going to be good. We're at that. We're that deep. Now, the build I want to show you and have you guys just ready to run off the start. Eye of the Jungle into Protector of the Jungle. Why Protector? Because it's giving you a ton of extra protection. 7% is still a lot while maintaining a little bit of power. Your first item is going to be a damage item for clear. You don't want to fall behind on clear in any which way. So I've been going Jotuns. Do not upgrade the Jotuns. Never. Do not upgrade this Jotuns. You're then going to shift into this hybrid tank meta. Okay, we're gonna prep for the hybrid tank meta. It kind of sucks, but it also is what it is. So your first item that you're going to go into this shift is Dawnbringer. Most people don't even know what Dawnbringer is. I had people yesterday that thought it was a new item. It is not. When your ultimate finishes casting, you gain protections and movement speed based on the people around you. It is nerfed. Wait. Okay, it is buffed on the PTS. I thought it was nerfed on the PTS. It's buffed. It's 10% protections and 10% movement speed for each god within 55 units stacking 3 times. So you're very easily getting 30% more protections for 6 seconds. Now this is important because getting that for 6 seconds might not seem significant. It is. Get the Dawnbringer. Then your first item out of the Dawnbringer is going to be a Pridwin, and you're going to upgrade this Pridwin to Glorious Pridwin because it's been massively buffed. It now does damage twice. So when you cast your ultimate, it creates an explosion, does 75% of your protections from item and abilities. This is why gods like Fenrir, who get defense from his ult, or Achilles, who gets defense from his 2, is going to have a lot of value, even more value, but that's besides the point. 75% of your defense explodes, does damage around you. It also slows by 25%. Then you get a shield for 90% of your protections that after 5 seconds or after being destroyed, it will blow up and do more damage. So you get double damage from Pridwin. So with the Dawnbringer proccing, it will cause this Pridwin to get max value. Then after the Pridwin, you want to grab a little bit of damage and pen. So you're going to go into, not damage, defense and pen. So you're going to go into Stone of Binding at this point. This is going to give you penetration, health, defense. Sick. You're really, really tanky at this point, to be completely honest with you. And then last item, I've been going more towards the defensive side of things. You can go really into damage if you're kind of feeling that the other team isn't building tanky, but you're gonna go Arch Druids. The reason you're gonna go Arch Druids is because Arch Druids, if I can find it on here, let me see if I pull it up. So much better to look at it here. Arch Druids does 40 damage plus 2 per level, so a max level, it's doing 80. and then it is doing that 6 stacks worth. So 80 times 6, you're getting a lot of damage. All right. You're getting 480 auto attack damage. It is magical, so it can be mitigated. It's not true damage anymore, but 480 damage on your auto. So on a god like Serket, you essentially ult somebody. 2, 1. That's a full passive. You auto. Your auto is going to slam because it's going to be full passive. It's going to proc Archdruids. And in that time that you've ulted and 2'd them, your Pridwin is going to proc. And then your Pridwin's about to have a secondary proc. In this build, you also have 20 flat pen, which is very, very, very strong. Seems like it isn't, but it is. It's gonna be all you really need, because having percent pen, you barely even feel it right now with this current meta. And this is gonna be pretty much your full build. Now in the late game, if you aren't really getting value anywhere out of the Jotuns, you aren't feeling it, you're dying too fast, whatever, swap this to a Glad Shield. And now you're going to be full tank. You're going to get max value out of your Pridwin. You're going to get max value out of your Glad Shield. At this point, your Protector's upgraded, so you're getting max value in the jungle from extra protections from the passive. And anytime you ult, you are going to hit very hard. You see just base protections on this, 242. At level 20, you'll be at 242 procs. That's with no auras around you. That's without Dawnbringer procced. Dawnbringer's going to give you 30% more. That's an extra, what, 70 protections. So you're going to be up at 310 physical. You're going to be up at, what, like 200-ish, a little bit under 200 magical. If they have a lot of magic damage, you can shift that Glad Shield over to just a magic defensive item to keep you alive. There's always options to shift, but this build will be very, very consistent. This build works on Pele. This build works on anybody who really initiates with an ult. It works on Ravana. It'll work on Ratatoskr. It'll work on Thor. It'll work on anybody. On gods like Thor, and I'd say mainly on Thor. You can look at also going Transcendence as your power item just to get more power. But this build is gonna be kind of the most annoying thing in the world. I was 1v2ing, 1v3ing. I would go in on Ravana with my ult into 5 people, and it would take them forever to kill me. I would trade. Now, there is another part to this that I think makes this work like insanely good and is kind of core for being the peak. It's your relics. Your relics in this are very important. You're tanky, so in my opinion, you don't need beads. You're gonna want blink early to make sure you have a good early game still to get that aggression, get that damage in, and get the ganks off. But your secondary relic, because you're tanky, in my mind, why am I going beads? Solo laners usually don't go beads. What's the point? And in this meta, you're so much tankier than you ever were before because everyone's got less damage. So even less of a reason to build beads. You're going to go Sunder. And you're going to upgrade this Sunder. Apparently this is bugged that you can't see anything. We're going to go Sundering Blast. Sundering Blast, it'll have 2 charges. It does 15% of their current health as true damage. So it's automatic damage. So you open the fight with your Sunder and you open with a second Sunder. So these 2 Sunders together are going to do somewhere around like 25% of their health. Maybe a little bit more depending. 25% of their HP. And make them take 7.5% more damage from all of your other abilities. So you're going to hit them with a Sundering Blast, 25%. You're going to ult them. That's going to do your 300-400 damage, whatever it is. You're going to have Pridwin proc. Pridwin's going to do 200-300 damage, right? So at that point, we're talking they're down to 75% health. Then you hit them with the other 2 abilities. They're down to 50% health. Your Glad Shield's going to proc and all of that. Twice, more than likely on most gods, sometimes 3 times. That's another 150 damage to 200 damage, if not more, depending on who you're hitting. Then you've got the Archdruids proc for another 300 to 400 damage. And they're basically dead at this point. And then Pridwin procs again. It doesn't make that. This is me talking about going on a squishy. You're on another tank. You're going to be running through 9-10 rotations of abilities. That's the other side to this whole thing. You can't burst with damage anymore. It's not going to feel bursty after 10-15 minutes into a game. You're not going to feel bursty. You do more burst with these tank builds than you do with anything else, and these tank builds don't die, so you're able to rotate through your abilities quite literally 4, 5, 6 times in team fights. On Ravana, on one team fight, I won, I think, 10 times. I went I went from full mana to in team fight. Most of us were going in a lot of these team fights on the PTS. It was very, very common. So this is the jungle build you're probably going to want to run. You're going to want to see a lot of. Now, there is the solo lane as well. I don't want to mess with the builds too much, but very similarly in the solo lane, except for the soul lane, you don't have to build a clearing item 90% of the time. Your starter is going to be core here. Sigil. And we're going to go back to infused sigil. No more. We don't care about sigil the old guard. We're already tanky. We don't need mitigations. You're going to go infused sigil. And why are we going to go infused sigil? I'm telling you, we're going to go through multiple rotations of abilities and autos and everything in these team fights. Multiple. It's not going to be your dead. It's going to be fight, run around, fight, right? That's going to cause sigil to proc more. Last night, in one of my last 2 PTS games, I took 917 damage from infused sigil against Achilles. I mitigated over 1,000 damage on the sigil. So it hit me for 900 and mitigated 1,000. It would have done 2,000 damage if I didn't have crazy mitigations. Infused sigil out of the solo, assuming you can clear and get away with it, is going to absolutely stomp in these games. It's gonna really be unmatched. Now with this build, with the solo lane builds, you really don't have to look at going into Dawnbringer if you don't want to. If you don't have an ult that matches up with it like an Achilles, you're probably not going to go into a Dawnbringer. Now the good thing is that opens you up to other items. Regrowth got a slight nerf, but regrowth is going to have even more value than before because it's a very good defensive item even after the nerfs. Very good defensive item. So a build like this, not necessarily in this order, you can move Regrowth to first, you can move Pridwin down, Glad Shield third, however you want to do it, will be very strong. Stone of Binding probably won't be the most common thing in the world at that stage in almost any game. You're going to be looking at grabbing one of the magic defensive items 99% of the time, or Mana Core Spikes. Mana Core Spikes is the other item that's going to apply to solo lanes, to support. I'm kind of talking about solo and support with this. Their builds are going to be very similar, except for support will go an actual support starter into more than likely an aura item and then go into a selfish build. You don't have to. If you want to carry your games, you're not going to go into aura items anymore. You're going to go into I'm going to kill you build. You're going to be a soul or support with the Sunder that we were talking about, with all that stuff, and you're going to kill everybody. You're going to literally kill everybody. With a build like this, you are capable of hitting max prots very easily because you don't need to have the Arch Druids either with these builds. You can just go to be that I won't die type of character, whether that's grabbing anti-heal or whatever you need. Very strong items. Just everything is strong right now. Everything. You want more cooldown, you've got it. You want just more survivability, you've got it. You can go whatever you want. Your protections are going to be over the top on these solo lane warriors, man. It's absolutely disgusting. Obviously, go a magic defense item if you're going against a guardian or somebody. You actually might see some guardians come back because they can build pretty much the same builds. They can run these exact same builds and potentially, with blue buff, still be able to clear just fine, since blue buff was buffed a couple patches ago. So this is what you're gonna be looking at. Have fun. Remember, Sunder's OP. Remember, yellow number items are OP. Oh, I did want to cover one more thing. And mages. I think mages like Baba Yaga, like Tiamat, like maybe even Eset, to be completely honest with you. This isn't saying other mages are going to be bad. I still think Agni's going to be very good. I think a lot of mages are still going to be playable. It's just going to be a lot harder to play them. It's going to take more skill. You have to hit more abilities and position better than ever before. But gods like Baba Yaga and Tiamat, maybe Eset, will have a very prominent spot in this meta because you're going to be able to go into tank items that other people don't usually excel with and just don't have good games with. I had a Baba Yaga last night, and I'm not even trying to be mean. He's probably a gold to plat level player. Be able to play the game much easier because of how hard it was to kill him. Look at grabbing Warlock Staff. Look at grabbing cooldown is going to be super valuable, but at the same time, it's not going to be necessary because you're going to have access to items like Pridwin.
Anonymous bought 8,000 gems and Smite, prefect title from Nexus.
Someone use my link to buy some gems. Shout out to you. Shout outs to you, buddy. So yeah, you're going to be able to go into either your Spear of Deso, your Divine Ruin, whatever. Pen is going to have a lot of value. So percent pen out of Warlock, Spear of Deso, pen. Then you're going to look at some sort of defensive items. I saw people going on Baba Yaga where you get free stacks. I saw people going into Prophetic. I saw people then going into Stone of Bindings. I saw people going into the Pridwids if they had an ult that they could really get value out of it. and they were just so dang tanky. It wasn't even funny. On the Tiamat dive comps, he was able to run 3 tank items. He wasn't running Prophetic. He was running Pridwin. Trying to show you guys the exact build. He was running the Glorious Pridwin. He was running Stone of Binding. And then I believe his last item was a damage item. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a damage item. And I'm also pretty sure it was E-Staff. Obviously, you'd have a starter in this build, which is where you get your cooldown and a lot of your survivability, or your cooldown, or ability spam and extra damage from. But a build like this works in someone like Baba Yaga or Tiamat. I'd swap out your Pridwin and just go into stacking, and probably stack out your Soda Binding and go into something more defensive on someone like Baba Yaga, where you're getting value out of stacks. Pridwin is going to be valuable though on Baba Yaga because you can kind of just ult on top of yourself and you're going to hit people with that Pridwin. So this could be a Prophetic, like we mentioned before, instead of that Soda Binding, and you have a very good build and you are hard to kill and you still do decent damage, because in this meta nobody does damage. Nobody does it. I don't believe that hunter items are going to change and builds are going to change much. They'll probably change a little because items were nerfed and buffed. I don't think crit comes back because Spectral will ruin the whole game for you if anything happens. I will say that on PTS, the new Witchblade glyph is stacking with Midgardian, which was never a thing. For the years and years and years that they were both in Smite, they never stacked. They purposely made it so they didn't stack. On PTS, they were stacking. I don't know if that makes it to live or not. If that makes it to live, playing AA hunters into people that realize that that is live, you will not be able to play the game. You won't. You'll be 50% attack speed reduced on anybody running at you, and the soul inners will still be killing you on top of you not being able to auto. So hopefully that doesn't make it alive. I don't know if Hi-Rez even knows about it. A lot of people came and told me that it was stacking when they knew it shouldn't be. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully this video helps you guys. Hopefully this information is just valuable for you guys to have on day one. Please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.